Welcome to 40 Plus Fitness for Women podcast. I'm Lynn Setterloff, your host. And today we're going to talk about a common question, which is how often do I really need to be lifting weights? And how do I fit it in to the rest of my fitness program? So very common questions that people ask when they're first getting started. As with a lot of things, unfortunately, the answer is it depends. So it depends a lot on your lifestyle, your goals, your other fitness hobbies, your health, your other issues that you may have going on in your life. So, for example, are you really focused? Is your goal right now to build as much muscle as possible, as quickly as possible? So, for example, that was my goal for the past year, to really build muscle and strength to make up for what I had lost over the previous years when I hadn't been focusing really on weight training. Or are you somebody who loves cardio and you want to keep going to your, various cardio classes and you want to figure out like, how do I fit weight training in because I know I need to take better care of my muscles? Or maybe you're somebody who loves to do yoga or something else. And you just want to fit this in because you know that this is an important part of taking care of your fitness, both today and for your future. So it will depend, but regardless of what your goals are and how much time you might have right now, it is really critical to get started. Please don't wait until quote unquote, like the perfect time. Don't wait until you have time because life happens. And if you don't prioritize it, something else is always going to get in the way. Now, obviously, if you're sick right now, then you can't get started right now, but you could get started in the sense that learn about what you need to be doing and get a program so that as soon as you're healthy again, you can start up right away. So, and it's definitely worth doing, even if you don't have a ton of time to devote to it, because all of the weight training that you'll do is going to help you to maintain the muscle that you have. And then if you're able to do a little bit more, then you'll be able to actually build some muscle and strength back. It's really about building habits, right? Making it part of your life so that similar to, let's say, brushing our teeth or, moisturizing your face or washing your face in the morning and at night, it just becomes something you do. It doesn't have to even be something that you love to do, but something that you know is good for you and is going to help you in the long run. And by the way, let me say that if you want help figuring this out, you can book a session with me where we'll sit down and go through what are your goals? What kind of schedule do you have now? How can you fit it into what you're already doing so that you can get started? Because it's not always just so easy for everybody to fit it into their lifestyle. If you're traveling a lot, if you don't have access to a gym, if you have some pre-existing injuries, if you only have half an hour a day, how are you going to do it then? So these kinds of things I can definitely help with to figure it out. And it might be that all we need is one session and then you can get started. You want to like bounce the ideas off of somebody. Okay, and then about how often you should train. Now, first, let me say that in weight training, I would say that there are no like absolute truths. There's research that comes out all the time where things are contradicting each other. And then if you look at the groups of people that the research is done on, they might do a study and let's say they have 20 participants and then the study comes out with, result A. If you look at the individual participants in the study, it may be that there are some people who actually did not get result A by doing the things in the study. And yet, it would be easy to just say, this study says that, well, yeah, for most of the people, or like a majority of the people, it was in that direction. But for some people, it may be different. So we all have individual differences. And then the other thing I have to say is that there are a lot of factors that affect like what kind of progress you'll make. So if you're thinking about, what else besides, go how many times a week you're actually training matters, then please check out podcasts 12 and 13. They are all about the factors that will affect the results you see from your weight training. So given that, what I can say is that the experts fairly widely, I don't think that you're going to run into somebody who's going to disagree with this next statement, that most of them agree that really in order to see some results, you're going to need to be stimulating your muscles twice a week. So that means that my recommendation would be that you train at least twice a week. And then in the training sessions, if you were to train twice a week, then you would train the same muscles in both of the sessions. So if you're just starting out, really the easiest thing to do is to get one program of exercises and do that 2 times a week. So generally, when you're doing a weight training session, the session will last about an hour. So that's, I think, like you just start to get tired and it's maybe not so effective, let's say past like an hour and a half. Okay. So let's say an hour. And in that hour-long session, you can accomplish doing about 6 exercises 3 times. Now, there are some ways that you can maybe speed up how quickly you're going through the exercises by doing antagonist supersets, which means that you'll do one set of, let's say, biceps, and then take the opposite muscle, which would be your tricep, and do a set of triceps. So that'll speed it up a little. But generally, the way that weight training goes is that you do a set, you take a break, you do another set, you take another break, and you do another set, you take a break. And generally, the sets, if they're like from, let's say, 6 reps to 20 reps, the set itself is going to take like a minute to a minute and a half to accomplish. And then your rest period is generally going to be a minute and a half to, it can be as long as 5 minutes. So that it actually takes a bit of time to get through them, though you may think, oh, well, how that's like 18 sets. How can that take an hour? But actually it can. And like I said, you can save a bit of time in the weight room by doing this kind of antagonist supersets. So I gave the example of doing your biceps and then your triceps together. Another one is if you were going to do a quad exercise, so your thighs, the front of your thighs, and then do a hamstring exercise, so the back of your thighs, because they are doing opposite things. Or if you're doing a push exercise and a pull exercise. So you can do those. So while you're doing the antagonist muscle, the other one is getting to rest to some degree, but you still do, after you've done a pair of those, you still want to take a little bit of a longer break to let your body kind of recover before the next set. So you can save a little bit of time that way. But if we think about in general, I would say 6 exercises, 3 sets of each exercise per training session. So for somebody who's training twice a week, the easiest way to accomplish this, or the most straightforward way, is to get a program of 6 exercises that you do and do that exact same program twice a week. So what that means when you are going to do that full body twice a week is that you'll have less opportunity really to do isolation exercises or to do several exercises that target one particular muscle. So let's say online, you might see these suggestions that if you want to build your glutes, you need to do one hinge movement, one thrust movement, and then one kickback type movement. Well, that would take up 3 out of your 6 exercises. So what about your back, your chest, your legs, your arms, your shoulders, right? So you see where I'm going with this. So if you're doing just twice a week, for sure, that is 100% better than doing nothing. But, you've got to sort of set your expectations accordingly, that it is going to be kind of an overall, you're going to be stronger, your strength is going to be better maintained than if you weren't working out, but you're not going to be able to like really grow your glutes, for example. And you might need to leave out like doing bicep and tricep work. So they will get worked in things like pull downs and presses, but not the same way as if you were doing a bicep curl or a tricep extension. Then, compare that to then if you're doing a 4 times a week kind of training, then you have a lot more exercises that you can accomplish during that week. Generally, if you work 4 times a week, you split your body in 2. Well, let's do an easy example. So you'd split it in 2 and you'd have an upper body day and a lower body day, and then another upper body day and another lower body day. And of course, in the simplest case scenario, your upper body days are identical, and then your lower body days are identical. That for sure will get you really far, especially in the beginning. But in any case, that means that you have, 6 whole exercises just for your lower body, and then 6 just for your upper body. That's already double the number of exercises that you have time to do over the course of the week. So that is going to give you the ability to do things like focus on particular muscle groups that interest you, or like for me, my arms were taking a really long time to come back. I was like, my biceps, they were like doing nothing. So I had, I was able to focus on them more. I had the bandwidth in my programming to do that. Plus things like working calves. So isolation exercises on calves are often left out if you're doing just a full body workout, but I find calves to be fairly important if you are doing other kinds of activities. They help to keep your knees and your Achilles tendons. So, but like I said, please don't let the lack of time stop you from getting started. Don't think that, oh my God, I can't start at all until I have, 4 times a week, 1 hour a time. The 2 days a week, 1 hour each is perfectly fine, and even less. So for example, I have designed a program for one of my clients who has 15 minutes a day, 5 days a week. So we're working with that. Hey, I wanted to run an idea by you. I've been thinking about how to help more women get started weight training. I've been mulling over offering an online group program where women from all over could do this together virtually. So instead of one-on-one coaching, it would be me coaching a group of women at the same time. I was thinking it could happen in a Facebook group where we could all hang out, share training wins, ask questions, and get support and encouragement from the community, and of course, from me too. What do you think? Is this something that might appeal to you? Now, this is just an idea at this stage, but if this is something that could actually interest you, please let me know by signing up for the wait list. Now, signing up is not an obligation to join, but if I do end up creating such a group program, you'd be the first to know and be able to join at a discounted price as a founding member. Most likely, I would launch this in the fall of 2023. You can join the waitlist at www.befitafter40.com/group, and I'll also pop the link in the show notes. It would really help if you would join the waitlist so I can get a feeling for whether this is actually interesting to my audience or not. Now, back to the show. Yeah, another client who really, really loves the cardio and doesn't want to give up 2 days of cardio, but could give up 1 day of cardio. So then it's like 1 day of weight training only, and then sprinkling in weight training on some of the lighter cardio days. So there are ways to work around it. But please do get a program to follow that has been designed with your goals in mind and with the number of sessions that you can do each week. So hire a PT to do a program for you. Most gyms have that ability, or buy a program online. There are plenty of them. And in fact, I just published one, a very good starter program for starting at the gym. And you can find that on my website, which is www.befitafter40.com, and links in the show notes too. And the reason I say this is that, if you're following a program, well, if you've been listening to any of my podcasts before, when you're following a program and tracking, you can make sure that you're really applying progressive overload to what you are doing. Please don't just, go on YouTube and pick a program today and then, let me do that tomorrow and that one the next day. You're just not going to get the same results as you will if you pick a set of 6 exercises and you continue to do those 6 exercises, for months on end. And if you have questions about that, please don't hesitate to hit me up in my DMs in Instagram. That's the best way to reach me, or you can email me, also links in the show notes. And I also wanted to mention that if you are taking a program from online that you're going to use and you want to make sure that you're tracking and applying progressive overload, I've now made available a tracker that you can just download. It's a Google Sheet that is designed so that you can put in the weights, put in the reps, what exercises you're doing, so you can track. So you don't need to remember, oh my God, what did I do on that last time? Or what did I do last time? So that is a nice aid. And you can find that either in the links below, or you can check my website, which is the befitafter40.com/tracker for the link to that. Okay. And until next time, happy training. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of 40 Plus Fitness for Women. If you're enjoying the podcast and want to show your appreciation, please hit the subscribe button. That helps me to reach more listeners because it signals to the podcast algorithm gods that this is a good show. Talk to you next week.